Welcome back to Seat Time. I'm Woody, and today we're gonna take this new piston and we're gonna put it in this old motorcycle. It's been a long time since I've done a top end on a two-stroke. Well, it's been a long time since I've been a top end on any motorcycle. But today, my 2018 Sherco 300 is gonna get a new piston and rings. Woo! Let's get this top end underway. Morgan, I need your help. What are 3 things that I can do to make sure I don't screw this up?
The deal with two-stroke top ends is that they're really simple, and there are a few little things that if you follow a couple little bullet point direction things, you will have a great experience. Every time you work on any kind of dirt bike, anything, is don't force anything.
Don't force anything. All right, yeah. Not Friday night, got it.
Exactly. No matter, if it says no, take that as a no. As soon as you take the cylinder off, so you're going to be, you're in there, whatever, you're doing your thing, you slide the cylinder off, get a clean, new shop towel, like a blue towel, like one of the paper ones, and shove it down into the crankcase, because all sorts of things can and will fall into that. Right now, you're dealing with just the top end, which is relatively simple and straightforward and easy, until you drop a circlip or something like that in the bottom. Now we're dealing with a bottom end and splitting cases and all this. Yeah, it gets expensive and it's a nightmare and whatever. You probably don't have all the tools at the shop. Anyway, final thing, when I lube things up to put things back there, I like to put lube onto things before I assemble. Assembly lube works, it's fine, but it's not really made to burn. And since you're dealing with a two-stroke, and it's made to burn oil, I used to use a little bit of two-stroke oil. So whatever your two-stroke oil that you normally use, take a little bit of that, put it on the top end bearing, slide that in where the connecting rod is so it's nice and lubed up. And then before I slide the cylinder on, I take a little bit of two-stroke oil and just rub it around the cylinder, slide that onto the piston, and then you're good. And there is a whole subset of humans that doesn't like to lube anything. They like to put things together dry. I don't really understand.
Listen, there's no part of my life that enjoys putting things in other things dry.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That has never been a good idea ever. I think if you do those 3 things, you're going to have no problem.
All right, well, fingers crossed, and obviously you'll hear from me if things start to go south.
Yes, sounds good, man.
Thanks, Morgan. Sherco power valve. I'm going to loosen all of this up so then I can loosen these bolts and get the top cap off. Well, I got them off, and you can see that they were actually starting to de-spin a little bit, so I'm gonna have to order some new cables. I'll probably put this back together just to get the bike running, just to test it, and then go ahead and swap these cables out, which sucks because it's gonna be a lot of extra work, but this will just cause me to get a lot better and working on the motorcycle. Ow, a little bastard poked me. And the head is off, and look, I mean, there's some scoring there for sure, there's some buildup there, not scoring, there's some buildup, but I mean, in the long run, it's not too bad, nothing I can't clean off. So we got to go get some degreaser and some nice stuff to clean it, but there's the piston, the head on there, again, there's some heat and some years of use, but nothing too crazy. This bike does not have a Kickstarter, and because it does not have a Kickstarter, it's very tough to try to figure out, hey, how do you check and make sure everything feels smooth? Well, luckily they've got this bad boy right here that I can open up and check. One thing I found that doesn't make me happy is I can't even get these out without it hitting part of the head. So it's kind of ridiculous. So I'm gonna have to wiggle this off some and slowly undo these. Fun. Alright, so as I try to lift it off, you can see it kind of getting stuck there. So unfortunately, I think I'm going to have to take this cover off so that I can then actually remove the cylinder all the way. But that'll be good because it'll allow me to clean more things. After much back and forth, both radiators have just come off the bike. Now we can keep going. Taking off that cover. Current situation. So once I got all this off, I realized the power valve wasn't moving all the way open, so I wanted to take it out to see what was going on, and you can see that it is really gunked up. So I've got to do some pretty good cleaning and removing of the carbon here. Going to clean also what's going on here in the exhaust flange. You can tell that has got a ton of buildup. And then I figured I might as well clean the power valve as well. So that's pretty dirty. Got all this, guys. Got apparently all these parts here that I'm gonna one day get back into this motorcycle. Enjoy getting seat time. The exhaust flange was probably the worst. There was a ton of buildup here on the inside. I wound up having to use the torch to heat up the carbon, and then I was able to really chip it away with a flathead screwdriver. Then I was able to come at it with some of the engine degreaser and the brass brush. That seemed to work best overall for getting rid of that carbon buildup that was in here. It looks like I've got the rest of the parts clean. I am going to wipe them down with some soap and some water, dry them off, just kind of inspect everything again and make sure and see if I can get this power valve back together. Well, unfortunately, I'm not done, and I'm not gonna be done for another probably 2 days because I need to wait on some parts. So here's the power valve, right? Here's the plate that holds that power valve on. When you pull up a little bit on it, it starts to get stuck. Now you can pull it past that little bit of stiction, and sometimes it'll move freely, and then other times it'll catch like that. This collar has these ball bearings that are in there. You can see it's kind of stuck right there in that. Yeah, you can see that. There's this little bit of a ring that's happened on the inside there, and so we think that is what they're getting caught on. I'm thinking that at some point with this whole power valve system of it getting kind of mucked up, that this probably sat in its spot for too long, and so it created a little bit of a wear, a little bit of a divot. And then also potentially that the power valve, because it did have so much carbon built up on it over time, that it also was creating a spot for it to get stuck. So it might not have been opening all the way. There's a good chance with other things that we've had to look at. I've got a new power valve on order to replace the one that we were just talking about. Now, here's the actual actuator, right? So unfortunately, there's some interesting things going on here too. So this tab has a nice little hole for this spring to fit in. Well, it looks like this spring has actually sheared off part of the top of it and has created some interesting divots back here on this tab. So I've got a new shaft coming, I've got a new springing coming. At this point, I've got new bearings coming, and we're gonna just rebuild almost this entire piece, this actuator. So my power valve is gonna be almost brand new. I don't know that I'm gonna be able to get it back together and get it working, but in the long run, it's been an interesting debacle so far. It's been an interesting journey to get to this point of learning. Thank you very much to Ricky from Sherco of North Texas and Morgan of Highland Cycles, the huge dirt biker, for their help so far, because as I kept digging in, I was just like, things don't look or feel like they're working correctly, and it turns out that I was right, but it really did take a village to kind of get me to this point. I don't even know what day of the build we're on anymore, but the shipping update says that the part should be coming today. So that means I need to get everything ready to go. So now we're gonna go ahead and get the new piston and rings on, so that way we're ready for the cylinder. I'm gonna make sure that the cylinder is clean, we're ready for the new parts. When everything comes in, it should just be like Legos and putting it all back together. Fingers are crossed, let's get to it. Enjoy the rest of the journey. Thanks for being here. I remember a lot of people talking about making sure that when you put that pin in, that it's either at 12 o'clock or 6 o'clock. So I'm gonna try to get this one here at the bottom. That's obviously a lot easier. Bearing is gonna go in the rod. This guy is gonna go through heel. The rod is obviously gonna go through here, so the bearing's gonna be right here. Put this guy in, and then try to very carefully get that guy set in the piston, and then we'll be good to start cleaning up everything else. The old power valve that we had that little bit of a hiccup there, we've been moving it around enough to stop it from now, but this new one it does not have that ring on the inside of this collar. So getting this was the right way to go, because you can tell there's so much wear in there that something was getting stuck, and I'm glad that I went this route. Now, get it all back together. Listen guys, this means so much more to me than you would think it would to someone, but this has been quite the project. I haven't done a top end in a long time. All the power valve issues so far, like, granted the bike's not running, I really hope it will be within the next 45 minutes to an hour. Turning it on. Nice, check that out. All right, turned it off, turning it on. All right, and then I can change the mapping. You can see it come up just a little, go down just a little, up just a little, down just a little. Cute. Gas is on. Bike is on. Everything's hooked up. It's got oil. Really nervous. Today couldn't have gone any better. Dude, we've got like 30, 45 minutes, so you know, maybe like 20 of the bike running, but hey! All of the work on the Sherco was an amazing experience. I was out of my element because it had been so long that I had worked on a top end of a motorcycle. Sure, it's a two-stroke and it's simple, but that doesn't mean that simple is easy. There's still a lot of mental stress that comes with working on a dirt bike, because you don't want it to blow up. You're spending all of this money on the parts. You're spending all of this time. You want it to work. And when you don't do it that often, it can be overwhelming. And especially with the power valve. When I realized that the power valve actuator and the valve itself were having issues, the actuator was just legit broken, where the valve would have needed a lot more deep cleaning to get working more efficiently. It really overwhelmed me, and it was tough. I had to call people, ask questions, and figure out how this thing was supposed to work. I didn't have a workshop manual, but you know what? I did it. I came out smarter, stronger, and able to ride my dirt bike on the other side of all of this. So this video, sure, it's a top end, video, me working on the Sherco, but in the reality, it's so much more than that, because that time that I spent in the garage working on my motorcycle, I appreciated riding it today so much more than I would have if I'd have paid $1,000 or whatever it was for someone else to have done all of that work for me. This motorcycle and I are now much more in tune with each other. I felt things that motorcycle was doing today that I've never felt it do before. So I challenge you, if you have not done a top end on your motorcycle, or you don't typically change the wheel bearings, whatever that is, challenge yourself to go do that. Watch the videos, ask the questions, tell the mechanics at the shop. That's what you want to do. You know you're outside of your comfort zone, but you're doing this to learn, to challenge yourself and to come out stronger on the other side. I promise you, you're gonna appreciate the times on the motorcycle more after the fact. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have thoughts, questions, comments, concerns to help people that have been awesome enough to stay this long in the video, make sure you leave those comments as well. It was awesome. Thank you for being here. I hope you guys enjoy getting seat time. I hope you stay stoked on two wheels. And if we don't get a chance to see you on the trail, at least we'll get to see you on the internet. Peace.
What happened, Woody?
I don't know. I was like way over here.